Steve Howe, good morning.
Morning.
Let's start with, I'm glad we're talking about this because Jeff Sessions has just made he has proclaimed that he is going to go after marijuana, and they're changing the federal policy. Basically, it's been kind of like, don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We're just going to kind of look the other way.
Sure.
States are doing what they're doing. Still, though, they couldn't put their money in the bank. But now Sessions is saying we're going to go after these states, these facilities. It's going to be very much like the gambling laws. So in New York State, it is illegal for a bookie to place a bet on this Sunday's Bills game. Federally, you can do it. There's no issue there. So the bookie might pay taxes to the feds and get arrested by the state. It's crazy.
Well, I think to clarify just a little bit, I think what Sessions has said is basically Obama rolled back those laws and just and basically told their federal prosecutors in each state, don't just look the other way.
Right.
I think what he said is he's allowed each federal prosecutor in each state the authority to prosecute should they choose to prosecute.
Yeah.
So I don't.
So
think
now it becomes more. But now it becomes you don't have an actual policy, a federal policy.
Right.
You have what each prosecutor believes. I feel marijuana is that stepping stone to the really bad stuff.
Right.
So I'm going to go after someone in Colorado. I'm not sure I like that necessarily, but either way, the fact that it's still against the law federally poses a huge problem because there's a lot of cash hanging around.
For me, right, that's a big problem. For me, the whole law thing is I don't like a law that's on the books that doesn't get enforced.
Right.
If it's there, enforce it. If you've got a problem with enforcing, then get rid of it.
Right.
It doesn't belong there.
Otherwise, you're really. I was watching a documentary this week. It was an issue very similar, and the fact is, if you have a law that is on the books that isn't enforced, you're basically incentivizing people to break the law, and they know nothing will. So law and order kind of loses credibility there. You're better off saying, all right, if you don't want it enforced, get rid of the law.
Right. It makes no sense. Right.
Very tough position here with marijuana right now.
Absolutely. And let's be honest. There's a lot of money behind this, and which I think is your second point is, and I think most people know this now, and maybe they don't really understand the implications, but because it's still a federal offense, banks are not allowed to accept money from drug dispensaries or places that sell it or produce it or sell any byproduct of it. And
we're talking about a lot of money.
Well, sure.
They're making a lot of money.
Of course, yeah. I mean, some of these facilities, like in Colorado, are massive in size.
We're talking millions of dollars.
Right. And
billions.
And not only are they not allowed to, open accounts under that business name or deposit money, they're not allowed to deal with customers in anything other than cash. Can't accept a check, can't accept credit card.
Well, some say that's where cryptocurrencies have come from.
Right.
Which, by the way, are tanking, and my friend Julie is very upset with you, Andrew, because
2018's the year.
You incentivized her to get in, and she's just not happy. So it wasn't controlled by the government, so you could pay with Bitcoin or Litecoin or something like that.
Well,
otherwise, it's cash.
And I think one thing you have to look at, and you could see something down the road happen with this is, let's be honest, they're doing something with that money. Is there some money laundering going on here?
Yeah.
Are they opening up fake businesses in order to get that money into that business? And I own a car wash. Breaking Bad. I got a car wash, and I'm getting the money. They've got to be doing something.
Is
with
that
that
illegal?
Large
Is that illegal to do?
Well, sure. Yeah, because it's all tax. It's based on the tax, and you
just
can't,
seems so
defraud.
different. It just seems so different when you're talking about meth. Well, we all are against meth, and there's no state out there that's saying, let's get the tax revenues from meth sales. Whereas marijuana, you have these states that are legalizing it, and it almost makes them opening up a car wash to launder the money. It almost makes it seem a little less offensive.
Well, it's almost in a way taking someone who opened up at least statewide a legal business.
Yeah.
And then had to become a criminal in order to keep the business flowing.
I hate to say, but the gun laws in New York State are doing the same thing. It's really making law-abiding citizens consider breaking the law by not conforming and turning your coming back and filling out reports and recertifying. It's all the same.
Yeah, I'm against the recertification because I think it's just a money grab statewide.
Yeah,
you know, the first time around they're saying, "Oh,
it's free,
it's free, it's free," but then it's mandatory. So now, what happens in in a year or 2 years or 5 years? You're going to see money involved because they're going to say, "Oh, it's costing us money to do the paperwork, and so we've got to charge you $25 each time." So it's just, I disagree with it.
What don't you fear on this marijuana stuff? So if you know that on any given day in one of these marijuana facilities in Denver, let's say. They've got to be on hand cash. They've got to be, easily a couple $100,000 sitting in there in safes or wherever. Doesn't that open the eyes of any criminal that's looking to make some quick cash?
I would think not only the business while it's open. I think at night for burglaries.
Yeah.
Their owners, because I'm sure that there's fair amount of money being taken from the facility. I mean, you can't just stockpile money.
Right.
It just, at some point, it's not a bank. So, banks have measures in place. You could break into a bank in the middle of the night. You're not walking out with 5 cents. You might be able to steal the pens off the chains.
Right.
That's all you're getting there because they're all locked down, they're time vaulted. You're not getting anything. Are they going to have to do that? Because if you have that much cash, your couriers or anybody that goes and picks up product or delivers it, they're going to have cash. So at some point, because you got to think about it, you couldn't go to Walmart. I mean, it's all cash.
Yeah.
Imagine if their computers went down, because that's essentially what you're dealing with. You've got to have cash in your pocket. So
these guys won't be able to drive
they
won't be able to drive the throughways anymore because we're to the point where we're eliminating cash from toll booths.
Yeah,
that's the governor's plan.
I think you're going to see.
So you get a bill in the mail. How do you pay that bill?
You can't. You got to walk down with cash.
You got to walk into the facility with cash. It
dangerous.
prevents you from buying on. I mean, you can't buy anything on Amazon without a credit card.
Right.
Can't go there and pay cash. All right. Solution?
I don't know.
Either make it legal or illegal.
Right.
I mean, I think that's
yeah. I mean, or you've got to allow the banks to accept the money.
right.
I think it's dangerous if
I think that's not happening with Sessions.
and this debate could go on for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, this could go on for years and years.
What does
and
it
years.
do for police officers?
Well, I think I actually have a friend of mine who's a PIO out in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I talked to him about it, and I asked him, and this was going back 3-4 years ago after it had already been legal a little bit, and his perception of it was a disaster because in the high schools and in colleges where it's legal, kids are showing up stoned out of their minds.
Yeah.
And because it's almost like if you made alcohol legal for kids, you were having issues. So his perspective was that it was a major problem.
I will tell you, that was going on when it was illegal.
No
that
doubt.
was going on in the 80s.
No doubt. But then
you'd walk through the hallway and it would be like, wow, you don't have to smoke it. You just walk through the hallway. You can, and in fairness, I think that was going on before.
Probably, yeah. And I think you got to look at employers, how do employers handle it. It'd be different in law enforcement because you can put in place. I mean, you can't show up to work drunk.
Right,
so you can't
Exactly.
have. They can drug test you, and if it's in your policy,
Sure.
you can't have it. You can't have it. So, but what do employers do? I think they've got to look at that. 'Cause
there's a
geez,
lot.
It's legal now.
There's a lot.
So
of
there's
change.
a lot of things I think that come along with it.
All right, I want to talk quickly before we get done is the swatting issue.
Right.
So it's a take on the word SWAT team.
Right.
This recent case was horrible.
Bad.
Video games, they're playing video games. Two people get into an argument. He finds out where the guy lives, calls authorities, and says there's some sort of a hostage situation. The guy's armed. Somebody's already been shot. Police storm into the building and shoot and kill the guy.
The worst part about the whole thing is the guy he called on wasn't even the guy he was arguing with. He got the
Really?
wrong address.
Wow.
So he called
know
in.
that part of the
yeah,
story.
wrong address. Yeah, called the wrong house. So apparently this guy is known for doing this, done it multiple times.
Yeah.
And they had an argument over Call of Duty. Got mad. This isn't ordering a bunch of pizzas to a guy's house.
Right,
This is,
right.
and swatting goes back, and we talked. I told you about this years ago.
Couple of years ago,
It goes back 5-6 years, and,
Yep.
and if you look the list of celebrities that have had this done to them. It's like the Golden Globes award. I
Yeah.
mean, there are hundreds of celebrities, major celebrities, have had this happen to them.
Yep.
And originally, when it started, it seems to focus in this gaming community. And what they'll do is they use these game cues because they're hooked to the internet to sort of fool the 911 system into
Right.
thinking the call's coming from a different location. And what they did originally was they'd call and say they'd give a bit of information to the police. and the police would show up, but it wasn't bad enough for the police to say kick the doors down and go in. And they
now
upped the
they've
ante.
elevated it.
Right,
Yeah.
every time they made it worse and worse. In this case, it was I killed my father and I've got my mother and my sister hostage, and I'm going to kill them. That's what the guy said.
Yeah.
So the police get there. What do? They kick the front door down to try to save some lives. And in this particular case, I think what happened was, and again, you're going to see the same thing. The family wants the officer charged. I think you're going to see he's not going to be charged because
here's a
the
question,
poor
though.
victim was reaching.
I know.
Who knows for what?
Here's
ID,
has it
license,
always
probably,
been
whatever.
reaching, shoot?
No.
To me, this is all brand new.
Think about
you have
this.
to see a gun before you shoot, but that's gone today.
It is because you've got to put it in context.
I understand.
They're told this guy had just killed somebody, is going to kill everybody. Remember, in their mind, what the 911 dispatcher's telling them is that the guy in the phone is the suspect.
Right.
And he's amping it up. Every step of the way, he's making it worse and worse and worse and worse, making it seem like it's going to be mass murder. You better get here. And when you get here, I'm going to kill you. That sort of thing. So, in their minds, what are they?
Here's a question
what
for
are they
you.
exposing?
What do they charge this guy with?
Well, that's a good question. And I had
Because
this
there's no
discussion
law
with
in
a
the
friend of
book.
mine.
There's no swatting law in the book.
No.
Although you watch. There's
Well,
an
California, I
opportunity
think, has
for-
got one they've been debating.
Yeah. Well,
but-
based on all the celebrities. that
This
they
is
deal with.
legal, but smoking pot.
Yeah, no.
That's right. That's right.
I'll be honest with you. You almost have to consider a manslaughter charge. I think it's going to take a strong prosecutor to look at this and say, that manslaughter, and I've talked about this with you before, is sort of a...
Your intention was not to kill.
Right, it's a sort of a catch-all with the murder because you cannot legislate every single way there is to kill a human being.
Right.
It's not possible. So the manslaughter sort of is like, okay, there's no specific law that you killed someone a particular way. So this falls under you create a situation which has a threat of death or serious physical injury. That's a manslaughter. So that's what it's going to take.
Well, what could get tricky is the kid apparently was commenting afterwards.
Yes, he
and
was.
they have that information. So I don't know exactly what he said, but if he had said something like, "I hope they shoot his blank,"
he said what he said was, "It's not my fault. I'm not the one that pulled the trigger. It's not. I'm not a member of SWAT."
This is afterwards.
Afterwards, this is what he said,
Okay.
and he got ratted out by other people in the gaming community, which thankfully, poor
people talked.
Poor innocent guy
Yeah.
lost his
Yeah.
life, and an officer shot an innocent person, and they both got to, the one's got to live with that anyway for the rest of their life. Terrible situation.
It's one more obstacle for police to deal with.
Right, and you think about the officer's perspective is they're rushing to a scene to try to save life. It's as dangerous a situation as you can be exposed to.
Yeah.
And the poor homeowner, and I said to you was, what if you're a legal gun owner and you're in your house in the middle of the night, which is when these calls
Somebody
are happening.
barges in.
3 a.m, you hear your front door getting kicked in. The police
don't know
aren't going
it's
to
a
announce
cop.
themselves
Right.
because
Right.
that if you announce yourself, you're going to be a target. They're kicking your door in the middle of the night. You're half asleep. You grab your gun to try to protect your family, and either you shoot and kill an officer, or you
they
get killed
shoot.
yourself.
Yeah.
Horrible situation.
Bad. All right, as always, good stuff. Great insight.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
Enjoy the cold out there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Birthdays for today, Friday, January 5th. Joanne Ryan of Yorkville is 85. Calvin Brown, what do you think of the Bills? What do you think?
I tell you what, I love the whole story. I like the best is with Andy Dalton's foundation.
Yeah,
I think
that is a great story.
that's one of the best
They've
things.
raised a lot of money.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is a great part of the story. But here's my question: he doesn't make that pass. They don't give any money.
No.
Well, no.
Well, no.
Well, but
Why
the,
would you?
The problem I have is it's not like they bought
Why
Andy
would
Dalton like a Mercedes Benz to say
Are
thank
you raining on this parade?
They're
I cannot
supporting.
believe you.
They're supporting like
You're
the
the
cause,
only
like good
one.
cause. It's like
Yeah,
you
but
know, I
you-
wouldn't have donated to the Radiothon if you should
But there's
donate.
a reason why we have incentives. I mean, I can't believe you bring up the Radiothon because call in now and everybody who donates gets a $25 gift card to Carmela's.
Well,
so
Well, and
That's
also
not quite
too, the
like that,
foundation wasn't soliciting donations from the Buffalo area.
Right.
It was just a
No one knew.
spontaneous.
Okay.
spur of the
Nobody from
moment
Buffalo
kind of-
would
No, I
even
think there was
think
one
about
fan. She said, "What can we do?"
Yeah.
So the $17 comes from 17 years since the Bills had been in the playoffs.
Right.
Okay.
So they each donated. She said, "Let's all donate $17."
Cool.
And that's how it worked out.
Inspired by an event, and that's how this stuff. Why is it? Do you think for years I would put people or myself out on top of a building or on a billboard? in the middle of a snowstorm because that's the event, that's the spectacle that gets people to donate.
Right.
And I don't do that anymore because it's just
so
cold out right
so
now.
in June, this coming June, when the Mets are out of the playoffs,
Yeah.
some team
It could happen that early.
can donate to the Mets. Maybe they
That's
can
it.
buy
I
some
like
buy some players.
All right, very nice, very nice. It'll be $86 for the year I remember.
Right.
They were good.
86, as in get rid of.